Explain your background and how you got to where you are today.
It's a long story because I have a passion, the passion for sport and especially for hockey, and now since 20 years for soccer. It's a long story because I have been the youngest ever coach, professional coach for a national team in Germany. When I was 28 years, the president of the National Olympic Committee asked me to become the national coach for field hockey. We won Olympic silver medal, once a European championship, and then by accident I was drawn to soccer. That was a long time ago through the assistant coach of Johan Cruyff, and now since 25 years, 27 years, I'm involved heavily in developing youth soccer coaches, which I call formadores for el calcio and not entrenadores, because there's a big difference between trainers and people who develop young players. It's a completely different philosophy. And I'm happy with that, and I've been in many countries in the world, speak 5 languages, give me a lot of opportunity to travel around and coaches in Africa, Asia, and especially in Europe and now in America.
Which federations and clubs have you enjoyed working with the most? Why did you enjoy working with these certain clubs and federations? Can you just tell us a few nice stories?
I have been coaching in 54 countries. I've coached some of the most important clubs, most famous clubs in the world, like Inter Milan or Football Club Barcelona or Schalke 04 in Germany or Peñarol and Nacional Montevideo, all Intercontinental Cup winners, and in many, many countries up to, from New Zealand, Australia, up to Malawi and South Africa. And a lot of federations, like in England, the Finnish Federation, the Federation of Denmark, the Federation of Honduras, Colombia. In Colombia, I only coached about 2,000 coaches in the last decade. And I've last year 3 times in Mexico. I went to 7 professional clubs in Mexico, and one club like America from Mexico City, they hired me 8 years in a row. So 8 years I traveled to Mexico City to develop and recycle the knowledge of their 25 youth coaches for the different teams from 8 years up to 18 years. But also I worked with professional football coaches because they asked me to come to their club to recycle their personal knowledge.
You talk about doing things in training, making it in line with nature. What do you mean by that, and why is that important?
I think the whole mankind should follow the laws of nature. Because now I was prepared to come in winter here. I expected temperature around 0, but I'm full spring. It seems as though we are at the beginning of summer. Why? Because mankind has interfered with the laws of nature. But unfortunately, in coaching and teaching, in all of the schools, we have too much overcoaching. We are obliging the kids too often to do what we think. But kids are part of the nature, so we have to treat them like nature. And Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the famous French philosopher, said, nature wants that kids are kids before they becoming adolescents and adults. But when we in soccer invert this natural order, kid, adolescent, adult, then you can only collect green fruits without any use. And that he has said 200 years ago. We should respect what the philosophers said and taught us a long time ago. Even Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a German philosopher, he told us 200 years ago, youth prefers to get stimulated instead of getting instructed. We have too many instructors in American soccer. So instructors who are giving solutions to the kids because they expose the kids to competitions for which they are not ready at all. And that is why the kids need instruction of an adult to play a successful game. But it would be much better to tailor the complexity and difficulty of the game to the mental and physical capacity of the child in a way that the child can discover the game step by step. So again, the game becomes the teacher and not the coach. So that is something very important. We interfere too much in the process of learning. Instead of giving the kids solutions, we should give problems to the kids, and the kids should resolve the problems. But the problems we give them should be age-orientated, so that every child is capable of resolving it. That forms the character of the person. So it's very important to use soccer as a character-building factor for our future generation of citizens.
Your coaching philosophy involves letting the game be the teacher, playing various small-sided games. Can you explain your philosophy and tell us why it's better than other traditional methodologies that are different?
For the human being, playing is like sleeping, necessary for your health, mental health and physical health. So all kids love to play. I'm getting away from drills because drill is killer. Kids want to play, and we should expose them from the start of any training session to a game, and once they fulfilled their need to play, we should expose them to drills, because inside of a game we played, a simplified game for instance, we found out that the kids are poor in tackling, or the kids are poor in passing. And that is, for me now, a reason to focus in the following minutes, for 15 minutes exactly, with 3 or 4 corrective exercises to improve the skill of tackling or the skill of passing, because the kids are highly motivated to carry out these exercises to improve their performance in the game. You in the United States, you do it just the opposite around. You oblige the kids to have the drills first, and then they get as a bonus a game, but very often the game has nothing to do with the drills you have done before. So I think the effectiveness of your learning is very poor to compare when you let the kids play a simplified game for a certain time, like 15 minutes, and after the game, being tired of playing, then they are exposed to improve parts of this game, that means tackling or dribbling. So it is more logical that we train in function of a simplified game. And in generally, we train to become better players in the competition we are asked to play every weekend.